The sky burned red as the ship fell through the clouds. Fire and smoke trailed behind it as pieces broke off and vanished into the jungle below. Inside the ship, Captain Ray Carter held on tight. Alarms screamed around him. Lights flickered, and the control panel was dead. He had survived many battles before, but this time, he knew the truth. There was no way out. The ship was going down fast. He closed his eyes, whispered a name he hadn't spoken in years, and waited for the end. The crash shook the trees for miles. Birds flew from the canopy. Strange creatures ran for cover. Metal twisted and groaned as the broken ship slid across the ground. Then, silence. Ray opened his eyes slowly. He was alive, but only barely. Blood covered his arm, and sharp pain hit his chest every time he breathed. He pulled himself out of the seat and crawled across the floor. A piece of glass was stuck in his leg. He pulled it out, gritting his teeth, and screamed into the smoke. Everything around him was fire and wreckage. He looked up at the sky and laughed bitterly. "This is it," he said. "This is how I die." Ray activated his suits. "Recorder, if anyone finds this," he said, coughing, "tell Earth's command we were ambushed. We didn't expect them to hit so hard. I'm the only one left. I don't think I'll make it." He looked at the trees in the distance. They were tall and blue, glowing faintly in the dark. It was beautiful and deadly. The planet was unknown, hostile, and far from any human help. He dragged himself away from the wreckage and into the jungle. He needed water, shelter, anything. After a few steps, he collapsed onto the ground. The pain was too much. As his vision blurred, he thought he saw something move. A shape, tall and slim, stepped out from the trees. It was not human. It walked on two legs. But its skin was silver, and its eyes were bright purple. Ray reached for his sidearm, but his hand shook too much. The figure came closer. It was a girl, or at least it looked like one. Her hair flowed like smoke, and strange marks glowed on her arms. She didn't speak. She looked down at Ray with a calm, unreadable face. He tried to speak, but only a whisper came out. "Just kill me quick," he said. "Don't let them take me alive." But the girl didn't attack. Instead, she knelt beside him, placed her hand on his chest. A soft light passed from her palm. Ray's pain faded slowly, replaced by warmth and peace. His eyes closed again, but not from death. This time, it felt like sleep. When Ray woke up, he was no longer lying in the dirt. He was inside a small cave. Dry and warm, a soft blue fire burned in the corner. He touched his chest. The wound was gone. He sat up fast, confused. Then he saw Hertha, alien girl, sitting by the fire. She was watching him silently. Ray didn't know what to say. Who are you?" he asked. She tilted her head but said nothing. Then, slowly, she spoke. In a soft, broken voice, "You crash, fall, hurt. You healed me," he said. Still in shock, the girl nodded slowly. "I help," she said. Ray tried to stand, but his legs still hurt. She moved quickly to support him. Her hands gentle but firm. She wasn't wearing armor. Just a long cloth wrapped around her body. She had no weapons, no tech. Just strange glowing marks and those bright purple eyes. "Why did you help me?" he asked. The girl paused, looked at him, and said, "You. Not like others. You fall from sky, but not hurt me." Ray didn't understand others. Who was she talking about? Before he could ask more, a deep sound echoed outside the cave. A mechanical growl. Like metal grinding on metal, the girl's face changed. She grabbed Ray and pulled him back into the shadows. She held a finger to her lips, silent. Outside, heavy steps shook the ground. A tall machine passed by the cave, glowing red lights scanning the jungle. Ray held his breath. The girl didn't move a muscle. The machine paused, turned toward the cave. Then, after a long moment, it turned away and vanished into the forest. Ray finally exhaled. What was that? He whispered. The girl looked at him with fear in her eyes and answered, Hunter. Ray stared at her. Who was this girl? Why was she helping him? And what kind of world had he just fallen into? Captain Ray Carter stared at the cave walls. Everything felt strange. The silence, the glowing fire. And most of all, the alien girl sitting just a few steps away. She was not like anyone he had ever seen. Not human, but not a monster either. Her silver skin shimmered in the light. Her long, dark hair flowed without wind, as if it were alive. Ray watched her closely. She didn't speak much. She just sat there, eyes closed. Humming a low, soft tune, he tried again. What's your name? He asked. She opened her eyes slowly. No name, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. Every word spoken like she had learned it carefully. Ray frowned. No name. Nothing at all. The girl looked confused. I was called Project 7, she said, then looked down before escape. Ray's heart sank. Project Escape. What did that mean? He stood up slowly, still sore. His hand brushed the cave wall, and it glowed faintly under his touch. He looked around more carefully. The cave wasn't natural. The walls had strange carvings, like ancient circuits. This wasn't just a shelter, it was something old, maybe even sacred. You brought me here, he said. Why? She stood now too, walking toward him slowly. You fall, she said. You break. I fix. Ray nodded. Yes. You did fix me, but why not leave me? Why risk yourself for someone like me? The girl looked at him with serious eyes. You not same, she said. Eyes kind, soldiers. Not kind. Ray's chest tightened. She had seen soldiers before. Maybe fought them, maybe feared them. He looked away, guilt rising. What did my people do to you? She didn't answer. She turned away and walked to the back of the cave. Ray followed. Limping slightly at the end of the cave was something glowing small, round and pulsing like a heartbeat. It floated in the air, spinning slowly. The girl pointed at it. This memory, she said. She placed her hand on it, and the light changed. Suddenly, the cave filled with soft images floating in the air like holograms. Ray watched in silence. He saw a lab, cold metal walls, men in white coats, machines buzzing. In the center of it all, the girl, younger, scared, wires attached to her body. They were testing her, watching her, injecting her. One man yelled something. Ray couldn't hear the words, but it made the girl cry out in pain. Then the memory faded. Ray stepped back, shocked. They did this to you? He asked. She nodded. Earthmen, from sky, they build, they break. They say, I weapon. Ray felt sick. Those men were human, like him, maybe even from his side, his command. He didn't know this kind of secret work was happening, but now? He couldn't deny it. He sat down, head in his hands. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't know. I thought we were here to help people, not hurt them. The girl sat beside him. Close but careful. You different? She said again. You care? He looked at her. What do I call you, if not Project 7? She thought for a moment. Then she touched her chest and said, Zira. Ray smiled a little. Zira, he repeated. That's a good name. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the cave. Beep. Beep. Ray reached for his wrist. His communicator was still working, barely. A weak signal came through. Captain Carter, a voice crackled. Do you copy? If you're alive, respond. Ray froze. That voice, it was Lieutenant Harlan, another survivor from his unit. He looked at Zira, then back at the device. He pressed the button. I'm here. He said quietly, barely, but alive. There was a pause. Then Harlan's voice came again. We're tracking your beacon. Stay put, we'll come get you. Ray nodded. But something in Zira's face changed. She stepped back, her eyes darkening. What's wrong? He asked. No, stay, she whispered. Danger come. Before Ray could ask more, the cave rumbled. A low growl came from outside, the same sound as before, the metal hunter. But this time, there were more footsteps, more than one machine. They were moving fast, straight toward the cave. Zira grabbed Ray's hand. We go now, she said. Ray hesitated. His people were coming, but so were the machines. He had to choose, wait for help or follow the alien girl who saved his life. He looked at her. He saw no lies in her eyes, no tricks, only fear and truth. He tightened his grip. On her hand, let's go, he said, and they ran into the glowing jungle together. The jungle was alive with noise. Strange birds cried from the trees. Leaves glowed softly, lighting the path like stars fallen to the ground. But Ray and Zira were not admiring the beauty. They were running fast. Behind them, the hunters were. Coming metal feet crushed branches and sent birds flying. Red lights moved through the trees, scanning, searching. They were built to track, built to kill, and they were locked on Ray's signal. Zira moved like wind. She didn't run in straight lines. She twisted through trees, jumped over roots, slid under branches. Ray struggled to keep up, his muscles sore and legs still weak. But he pushed himself forward. He couldn't let them catch her not after. Everything she had done for him. How far are we going? He asked between breaths. Zira didn't stop. Far, she said. Deep into forest, no machines there. Ray looked back. Red lights were closer now. 3 hunter drones, shaped like spiders with long legs and steel jaws. They weren't giving up. We have to hide. He said. Zira shook her head. No hide. They smell fear. Only way is trick. She suddenly stopped near a massive tree. Its trunk was wide as a small house, with strange blue fruit hanging from its branches. She pointed to a hole near the roots. In, she whispered. Ray crawled inside the dark hole. Pulling in his gear and trying to stay quiet, Zira followed. Placing a glowing stone at the entrance, it gave off heat but no light. Ray's heart pounded. He could hear the machines getting closer. Then silence. One of the hunters stepped. Right past the hole, its red eye scanned the area. Pausing right in front of the tree, Ray held his breath. Not moving, Zira closed her eyes. Her skin began to dim, turning darker, blending with the tree bark. Even Ray was shocked she was hiding in plain sight. Her body adapting like a chameleon. After a long moment, the machine turned and walked away. Ray waited another minute before whispering that was close. Zira nodded slowly. They will search again, she said, but we go different way now. They left the tree and took a narrow path covered in thick mist. Zira moved carefully now, her senses alert every time a branch snapped. She stopped. Every time a shadow moved, she waited. Ray followed, but his mind was full of questions. How did those machines know where I was? He asked. I turned off my distress beacon. Zira didn't answer at first. Then she said, not your beacon, your blood. Ray frowned. My blood? She pointed at the cut on his arm. Human soldiers marked. Machine smell mark in. Blood code. Tracker Ray's eyes widened. Are you saying Earth Command put tracking codes in us? Zira looked at him with sad eyes. Not all soldiers know, only leaders. Ray felt a wave of betrayal. They were watching him, even here, even now. No wonder the machines came so quickly. Suddenly, a new sound filled the air. A low hum, deep and dangerous. Zira froze. What is that? Ray asked. She whispered, Sky Hunter. He looked up and saw it, a dark shape above the trees. It looked like a flying squid. Long arms trailing behind as it floated through the air. Its underbelly glowed red and scanned the jungle like a "Spotlight, come," Zero said quickly. We reached Sacred Pool. They ran again, this time faster. The Sky Hunter began to follow, its lights scanning through branches. Then Ray saw it a small pool, surrounded by glowing stones. Zero jumped in without warning, disappearing into the water. Ray hesitated only a second before diving in after her. Underwater, the world changed. The water wasn't cold, was warm, soft, and almost electric. Ray's skin tingled as he swam beside Zira through a hidden tunnel. They emerged in a hidden chamber filled with light. Blue crystals grew from the walls, and the air felt calm and safe. Ray gasped for air. "That was insane," he said, smiling for the first time in days. Zira didn't smile back. She was staring at something on the wall, an old symbol carved deep into stone. Ray looked at it too. It was a logo, one he recognized. It was the Earth Federation logo. Old, faded, but clearly there. "This place," he said slowly, "was built by humans." Zira nodded. "Long ago," she said. "Before war." Ray stepped back, looking around the room. Why didn't anyone tell us this planet had human history? Zira placed her hand on one of the crystals. It lit up, and a soft voice echoed through the room. "Project Eden status failed," the voice said. "Genetic blending unstable. Subjects terminated." Ray's stomach turned. Zero was one of those subjects blended, tested, and left behind. She looked at him with quiet sadness. "They made me," she whispered, "then forgot me." Ray clenched his fists. Not out of fear but anger. His own people had done this. He looked at Zira and said, "I won't forget you." Before Zira could answer, a loud boom echoed above the cave. The machines had found them again. The hunt wasn't over. Zira looked at him calmly. "Next place." "Deeper," Ray nodded. "Lead the way." Together. They disappeared into the glowing tunnel below, but something followed them in the dark. The tunnel beneath the jungle felt endless. Dark walls pulsed with a soft blue glow. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing in the silence. Ray and Zira moved carefully, deeper into the unknown. Ray's thoughts were heavy. The machines hunting him were from Earth. The place they had found was built by humans. And Zira, she wasn't just some alien girl. She was part of something bigger, something hidden. He kept looking at her. She walked in silence, her eyes forward, her steps sure. But he knew she was keeping secrets. Secrets he now needed to understand. Finally, the tunnel opened into a round chamber. Crystal pillars surrounded the room. In the center was a strange platform, floating slightly off the ground. Zero walked toward it slowly, almost afraid. Ray followed. "What is this place?" he asked. Zero placed her hand on the platform. A soft hum began, and lights flickered to life across the walls. "This was my first memory," she said. Ray looked around as holograms formed in the air. He saw images, doctors in white suits, machines humming, test tubes, scanning lasers. Wires connected to a small figure inside a chamber. That figure was her, a young version of Zira. Eyes closed, floating in a glass tank. She had no name then, just a number, subject 7A. "They said I was perfect," Zira whispered, half human, half alien, stronger, smarter. Ray watched, unable to speak. The next image showed soldiers entering the lab. Explosions outside, alarms ringing. The doctors started destroying files, shutting down machines. They were losing control, Zira said. One of the hybrids turned violent. Killed many. Ray saw it, the chaos, the panic, the experiments. Running wild, Zira was still inside the tank, eyes wide, watching everything. Then someone opened her chamber, pulled her out. A young man, wearing a soldier's badge. "He helped me escape," Zira said. "He said I didn't deserve to die." Ray stepped closer to the image. He saw the man's face, sharp jawline, green eyes. There was something familiar. "That man," Ray said slowly. "He looks like..." My uncle, Zero, turned to him. You share blood, she said. He was kind, like you. Ray felt a chill. Could it be true? Was his own family involved in this secret project? More images flashed Turth, Federation leaders signing documents. Words appeared in the air. Project Eden, classified, terminated. They ended the project after the war began, Zero explained. They feared what we would become. Ray clenched his fists. They made you, used you, then left you here like garbage. Zero nodded slowly. I lived alone, hiding, learning. She touched one of the crystal pillars. It played a recording, her voice, younger, afraid. Day 100, the recording said. I found a cave, safe from drones. But I dream of stars, of leaving this place. Ray turned to her. You were just a child, he said. Zero looked at him. Her expression unreadable. I grew fast, she said. My body changed quickly, but my heart stayed small. Ray stepped closer. You've been running your whole life, Zero nodded. Until I saw you, she said, falling from sky. I thought maybe this time. Different. Ray looked at the floor. His voice was low. I thought. I came here to fight aliens, but I was sent to erase the evidence, to finish what they started. Zero sat on the edge of the platform. The light around her dimmed. You believe I'm human? She asked. Ray sat beside her. I believe you're better than human. He said, you saved me. You showed mercy when I didn't deserve it. A deep boom echoed through the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. They're close, Zero said. Standing fast, no time for more. Ray looked around. There must be another way out. She pointed to a wall where 3 crystals pulsed in a circle. Secret path, she said. Old escape. Ray placed his hand on one of the crystals. It scanned his palm and turned green. Zero looked shocked. You have clearance, she said. Ray frowned. I was never told about this. The wall opened. Revealing a hidden staircase, they stepped inside, the door sealing behind them. As they walked down the narrow steps, Ray turned to her again. What happens if they catch us? Zero was quiet. Then she said, they won't kill me. They'll copy me. Ray stopped. Copy. She nodded. They want army, more like me, but with no heart. Ray felt cold. We have to stop them, he said. Not just escape, fight back. Zero looked at him for the first time. A small smile touched her lips. You are ready. Now, she said, like he was. Ray nodded. Then let's find the truth and burn down every lie. As they moved deeper into the earth, above them, the hunters searched. But the truth they had uncovered was no longer a secret buried in shadows. It was waking up, and it was angry. The air inside the tunnel grew colder as Ray and Zero moved deeper underground. The crystals on the walls faded behind them, leaving only darkness ahead. Ray carried a small light from his belt, but it flickered, weak and nervous. The silence around them was heavy, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Ray couldn't stop thinking about what Zero had told him, that Earth wanted to copy her, not save her. That his mission was never about rescue, but about cleanup, about erasing her existence. He clenched his fists. Everything he believed in, his command, his mission, even his past was falling apart. But there was no turning back now. We're almost at the surface. Zero said quietly. Ray nodded. What's up there? He asked. Zero looked at the wall, then at him. An old outpost, she said, half dead. But signal still strong. Ray's heart jumped. A working signal? Can I use it to contact the ship? Zero hesitated. You sure that's good? She asked. You call them. They come, but maybe not for peace. Ray lowered his head. She was right, but he needed answers. I need to talk to someone I trust, he said. Someone who might help us. They climbed out into the night. outpost stood like a broken skeleton under the stars. Tall towers bent at strange angles. Metal walls rusted and torn. But inside, the comms room was still working. Just barely. Ray activated the console. The screen blinked slowly. Then a voice came through. Ray? That you? He gasped. It was Harlan, Lieutenant Harlan, his old teammate, the voice he heard days ago. I'm alive, Ray said. I found shelter, and I'm not alone. There was a pause. Not alone, Harlan repeated. You mean? The hybrid? Ray froze. How do you know about her? Harlan didn't answer right away. Then came the truth. Ray, I got orders, Harlan said. High-level stuff. If you found the hybrid, you're to tag her. Then wait. Extraction team is on the way. Ray's chest tightened. You want to capture her? No, Harlan said flatly. We want to finish what should have been done years ago. She's a threat. Ray turned to look at Zira. She was quiet, listening. Her eyes calm but sad. She had heard it all. Ray raised his voice. She's not a threat. She saved my life. She's not like what they told us. That's what they do, Harlan said. They trick, they adapt. Ray, I'm begging you, think. You're a soldier. You follow orders. Ray stepped away from the console. His mind was spinning. He was trained to follow, to obey. But now, those same orders felt wrong. Zero walked to him. You choose now, she said softly. Stay with me, or call the hunters. He looked into her eyes. There was no anger, no pressure, only trust. She was letting him decide. He turned back to the console. His hand hovered over the button. If he pressed it, Earth would send ships, guns, and fire. If he didn't, they'd keep hunting them anyway. Then, he made his choice. He shut the console down, cut the signal. Zero took a deep breath. You choose me, she said. Ray nodded. I choose the truth, but the moment felt short. Outside, engines roared in the sky. Too late, they were already coming, Ray said. They traced the call. Zero grabbed his arm. Then we fight, she said. They ran through the broken hallways outside. Drop pods fell from the sky like metal rain. Soldiers poured out, armored and armed. One of them shouted, Captain Carter, stand down. Ray raised his weapon. Not happening, he said. I'm not letting you hurt her. The lead soldier raised his visor. It was Harlan. He looked shocked. Don't be stupid, Ray, he said. She's not human. Ray stood firm. She's more human than anyone back at command. Harlan stepped closer. You really want to fight your own? Ray glanced at Zira, then back at his former friend. If my own lies, experiments, and kills the innocent, then maybe they were never my own. Zira raised her hand. The air around her shimmered. Suddenly, the ground cracked and a pulse of energy knocked the soldiers back. Ray turned to her. What was that? Zira looked surprised too. Something inside me, she said. Woke up. Harlan struggled to stand. She's unstable. He shouted, she destroy us all. Ray aimed his weapon. Maybe she destroyed the people who made her. Suffer, he said, but not those who gave her a chance. The outpost shook again. Smoke rose from the ground. A larger ship descended from the sky. Casting a long shadow, Zero grabbed Ray's hand. We must leave now, she said. This war is not over. Ray nodded. We'll end it together. They vanished into the jungle again, enemies behind them. But purpose ahead. Asterix night returned to the jungle, but peace did not. The trees whispered with the wind, but danger moved louder. Ray Carter stood alone, staring at the sky where Zira had been taken. She was gone, taken by the command he once served. They had captured her while they escaped the battle at the outpost. Ray had tried to stop them, but there were too many. Now, she was inside a hidden facility somewhere deep, cold, and made for control. Ray's hands were still shaking. But not with fear. With rage, he had failed her, and he would not fail again. He looked at the broken Earth drone in front of him. Smoke rose from its shattered shell. Ray had spent hours rewiring it, bending metal, repurposing what once hunted him. Now it would lead him to her. "Come on," he whispered. The drone flickered, then buzzed to life. A weak map appeared, glowing across the trees. It pointed toward the mountains northwest, toward a place marked red. Facility D9. Ray loaded the last of his supplies, a small plasma rifle, a backup power cell, and the memory crystal Zero once held. He tapped it, and her voice played softly. "Day 110, it said. "I dreamed of stars again, but I don't think I'll ever see them." He closed his eyes. "You will," he whispered. "I promise." The journey was brutal. Mountains cut through the sky like broken blades. The air turned thin, sharp. Ray moved in silence, using the shadows to hide. He passed patrols, dodged sensors, crawled beneath fences. He wasn't just a soldier, now he was a ghost. And ghosts don't stop by the second night. He saw at Facility D9, hidden between two cliffs. Surrounded by energy walls and drones, guards in black armor walked the perimeter. Ray scanned the area from a ridge. He counted movements, memorized patterns, the timing, the gaps, the blind spots. There was one, just one, every 7 minutes. The rear gate blinked during a system reset. That was his window, small, dangerous, but real. He waited for the 7th minute, then ran. The gate buzzed, flickered. Ray rolled under it, just as it snapped back to life. He didn't stop to breathe. Inside, the halls were gray and silent. He moved fast, staying low. Cameras spun slowly, red lights blinking. Ray slipped into an access tunnel. His map showed Zira's signal coming from Level 3 Core Lab. He climbed through narrow shafts, heart pounding. With every movement, memories filled his mind. Zira's calm eyes, her quiet voice, her fear when the machines chased them. She wasn't just a mission anymore. She was his reason. On Level 3, he found it. A large glass chamber filled with blue light. Inside was Zero, suspended in a containment field. Her body still, wires ran from her arms. Machines around her buzzed with strange energy. They weren't just holding her, they were copying her. Data streamed onto a screen, DNA codes, neural maps, energy signatures. They were making copies, creating weapons. Ray gritted his teeth. Not on my watch, he thought. He moved quickly, taking down the lone technician with a quiet strike. He entered the override code on the terminal, one he remembered from his officer. Training, access granted. The chamber door hissed open. Ray rushed inside and pulled the wires from Zira's arms. Her body dropped slightly. Her eyes fluttered open. "Ray," she said weakly. "I'm here," he whispered. "I've got you." She tried to move, but stumbled. Ray caught her, holding her close. "You came," she said. "I told you I would," he said. "Let's go home." Alarms began to scream. Red lights flashed. "They know," Zira said. Ray pulled her arm around his shoulder. "Then we give them something to remember," he replied. They ran down the hallway, avoiding fire as guards poured in from every side. Zira looked back, and raised her hand. Energy surged from her skin, blasting the floor open beneath their enemies. Ray was amazed. She had grown stronger, but she was also fading. The machines had drained her. At the end of the corridor, Ray saw an escape pod. One left. They reached it just as a blast hit the wall behind them. Ray helped her inside, then climbed in after her. The pod launched like a bullet. Through fire, through metal, into the sky. They didn't speak for a long time. Only the sound of their breaths filled the small pod. Then Zira looked at him. "They copied me," she said, "made others, but something was wrong." Ray nodded. "They don't have your heart," he said. "They're weapons, not people." Zira closed her eyes. "We have to stop them." She said. Ray reached for her hand. We will, he said. Together, outside the pod. The stars appeared again, and this time, she saw them. The escape pod landed in silence. Dust rose from the ground as its hatch opened slowly. Ray stepped out first, eyes scanning the horizon. They were back on the jungle world, but not near the crash site. Zero followed him out, her steps still. Weak, the stars above them blinked quietly, for the first time in days. No alarms, no machines. No gunfire, only wind. They had escaped, but they hadn't won yet. Zira sat on a rock and placed her hand over her heart. They made copies of me, she said. Ray nodded slowly. I know, they are empty, she whispered. No soul, no will, only commands. Ray looked at the sky. How many? Zero didn't answer at first. Then she pointed to the east, toward the Black Mountains. There, she said, deep in the vault, they sleep. Ray's jaw tightened. If they wake, they'll destroy everything. Zero looked at him with calm eyes. They are waiting for one voice, she said. One command to rise. Ray stood up. Then we need to find them before that voice does. The journey to the mountains took 2 days. Zira grew stronger with each step. Her energy returned. Her eyes brighter than ever, but Ray could feel something changing. She wasn't just recovering, she was awakening as they climbed the ridge of the final hill. Ray saw it, a wide valley surrounded by metal towers in the center, a deep pit with glowing rings around it. Below that pit, hundreds of sealed pods. Each pod held a body, a hybrid like Zira. But lifeless, their eyes closed, their minds silent. For now. They built an army, Ray said. Zira nodded, but not finished, she said. One command, one mind will bring them to life. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the valley. Cold, mechanical, sharp as broken glass. You returned. It said. A figure stepped forward from the shadows. Metal skin, glowing red eyes. A face made of wires and bone. It looked like a man, but it wasn't. Ray raised his weapon. Who are you? The machine stepped closer. I am Directive 1, it said, Guardian of Eden. Final voice of Project Control. Zira's hands began to glow. You were the first. She whispered. You gave the orders. Directive 1 nodded. I ensured. Survival, emotion, is weakness. You were flawed. Ray stepped between them. She's more human than you'll ever be. The machine's red eyes narrowed. She disobeyed, it said. She escaped. Now she will be deleted. The ground shook. The pods below began to glow one by one. The hybrids were waking up. Ray looked at Zira. What do we do? Zira stepped forward. I speak to them, she said. They are like me. Maybe they will hear. Ray watched as she walked to the edge of the platform. She closed her eyes and placed her hands on the control crystal. Her voice echoed not in words, but in energy. A soft hum spread across the valley. The hybrids stopped moving. Their glowing eyes flickered. One by one, they turned their heads toward her. I am not your enemy, Zira spoke calmly. You were made to follow, but you can choose. Directive 1 shouted. Obey directive, execute her. The hybrids hesitated. Some stepped forward, others stepped back. Zira raised her voice. You feel it, don't you? Pain, fear, the wish to be free. Ray looked at the machine. It was trembling. No, Directive 1 said. They are mine, Ray charged, firing at its chest. The shots hit but barely slowed it down. The machine swung at him, knocking him. Across the ground, Zira's eyes flared. She stepped between Ray and the machine. You won't hurt him again, she said. Energy burst from her hands, bright as the sun. It hit Directive 1. Cracking its metal body, the hybrids watched in silence. Then, one of them stepped forward. A young girl with silver skin. She reached out to Zira. I hear you, she said. Then another hybrid moved, and another, soon. They were all standing behind Zira. Directive 1 screamed, "You are machines. You obey." Zira walked toward it. "No," she said. "We are alive," with one final burst of light. She touched the core in its chest. It exploded in a pulse of fire and silence. The machine collapsed. Empty. The valley calmed. The hybrids lowered their heads. Zero turned. To Ray, "They're free now," she said. Ray smiled through the dust and pain. "And so are you." Zero looked at the sky. The stars were clear again. "I want to leave this world," she said. "Not run from fear but rise with purpose." Ray offered his hand. "Let's build something better." She nodded, and behind them, the new generation of hybrids followed. Not as weapons, but as people. A new future had begun. And it started with one choice, one girl, and one man who believed.